You know, deep in the rainforest, there's a real-life horror story playing out every single day. It's this incredible tale of a parasite that can actually take over an animal's mind, control its body, and turn it into a puppet for its own bizarre purposes. So believe it or not, we're going to start this story at the very end. What you're looking at here is a carpenter ant. But that stalk, that thing growing out of its head, that is the final triumphant move of a parasite that has taken complete and total control. And that's the big question, right? How on earth does a simple fungus do this? It's a process so precise, so weirdly complicated, it honestly sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. But as we're about to see, the science is very, very real, and it's absolutely fascinating. Okay, to really wrap our heads around what's happening to these ants, we need to introduce a kind of mind-bending idea from biology. It's a concept that explains how one organism's genes can literally write the instructions for a totally different species. And here it is, it's called the extended phenotype. The key thing to get here is that the ant is no longer just an ant. It's become a physical extension of the fungus itself. Its body is just a vehicle, and its actions are being driven by the parasite's genes, all for one reason, to help the fungus make more of itself. So let's rewind. Let's trace this whole nightmare from the very beginning. For one poor, unsuspecting ant, it all starts with a single, tiny encounter that completely seals its fate. We're talking about a species of carpenter ant called Camponotus leonardi. Now, these guys are supposed to live their whole lives way up high, safe in the forest canopy. But once this one microscopic spore lands on it and gets inside, that ant is starting a one-way trip that it can never, ever come back from. As the fungus starts to grow inside the ant's body, it kicks off this systematic takeover. It's like it's hacking the ant's nervous system, short-circuiting its most basic instincts and replacing them with a whole new, creepy set of commands. I mean, just look at the difference here. It's night and day. A healthy ant follows trails, it climbs up, it stays safe. The infected ant, the fungus forces it to do the complete opposite. It wanders around like it's drunk, has these violent convulsions that make it fall out of the trees, and gets trapped on the forest floor, which, surprise, surprise, happens to be the perfect place for the fungus to grow. And this whole thing isn't chaotic at all. Oh no. Based on what scientists have seen in the wild, the fungus's manipulation is incredibly precise. It's like a ticking clock. The wandering, the convulsions, that final bite, it all happens on a super strict schedule. Now, the ant's very last act is the most critical one for the fungus. And here's where it gets really weird. This last act is performed with unbelievable synchronization across all the infected ants in the area. Yep, researchers noticed that the final deadly bite almost always happens right when the sun is at its highest point in the sky. It really seems like the fungus is using the sun as a cue to trigger its final command in all its victims at the exact same time. And this chart just shows it perfectly. Those yellow bars track the sun's height during the day. And the red dots, those are individual ants performing their final death grip. You can see they're all clustered right around noon. It's a coordinated mass execution orchestrated by a fungus. And the location of this final bite is just as specific. It's not just any leaf. It has to be the underside of a leaf. The ant has to clamp down on a main vein at about 25 centimeters off the ground. Now, why so picky? Because every single one of these details creates the perfect little microclimate, the ideal temperature and humidity for the fungus to finish its work. But hang on, how does the fungus make sure the ant stays clamped onto that leaf, even long after it's led? Well, the answer is inside the ant's head, and it involves a total hostile takeover of its anatomy. So on the left, you're looking at healthy, powerful jaw muscles from a normal ant. All those fibers are packed in tight. Now look at the right. In an infected ant, those same muscles are a mess. They're being pushed apart, they're wasting away. The fungus is literally eating the muscles from the inside out. And here's why. Because, and this is wild, the ant's head isn't really its head anymore. It's completely stuffed with fungal cells. These things grow and multiply until they fill the entire space, severing the connection between the ant's brain and its jaw. This causes that final powerful bite to lock into place permanently, a true lockjaw. And that final bite is incredibly powerful. So powerful, in fact, that it leaves behind these permanent scars in the leaf veins. You can find them long after the ant itself has decomposed. It's tangible, physical proof of just how much force the fungus can make this little ant exert. Okay, so we've seen the how, the wandering, the convulsions, the synchronized death grip. But what's the why? What's the master plan here? Why does the fungus go through all of this elaborate trouble? It's all about its own life cycle, really. Step 1, manipulation. Get the ant to the perfect spot. Step 2, anchoring. Lock it in place. Then, step 3, reproduction. Once the ant is secured, the fungus can grow that stalk out of its head, and finally, step 4, rain down a fresh batch of spores on any other poor ants walking by underneath, starting the whole terrifying cycle all over again. Now, you might be thinking that this is some 1 in a million bizarre fluke of nature, but you'd be wrong. This whole mind control strategy is so darn effective that it has actually evolved multiple times in completely different organisms. Biologists have a cool name for this: convergent evolution. It's when nature independently arrives at the very same solution to a problem. For instance, there's a totally different fungus called Pandora that does a very similar thing to ants in Europe. And it's not even just fungi. There's a parasitic worm, a brainworm, that infects ants and forces them to climb to the top of blades of grass so they can get eaten by sheep, which is the next stage in the parasite's life cycle. It's the same playbook, just with different characters. And all of this just leaves you with this one final, kind of unsettling thought. We've seen how this fungus is a perfect example of an extended phenotype, right? One creature's genes literally hijacking another's body. So if a fungus can evolve to basically write software for an ant's brain, it just makes you wonder, what other hidden puppet masters are out there, pulling invisible strings, shaping the natural world in ways we're only just starting to understand?